I've just bought this under seal spray gun on Amazon for £43. It's from Wiltec, and in this video I'm going to try it and see how good it is. So I have previously just bought this spray gun on Amazon and it was a similar sort of money. However, I found this was complete garbage. The main issue is that tin falls off. There's no way of screwing this tight, and when it's full of liquid it gets quite heavy, and the slightest knock could knock it off and you end up with a right mess everywhere. The other issue is it had a gauge and regulator on the handle. This regulator just didn't work at all, and the handle is rather sloppy, so sometimes it wasn't pushing on the pin. And then finally I was using the 360-degree nozzle here and nothing would come out other than air. It just wouldn't get the product through the nozzle. So overall this was just a waste of money. Because I didn't quite finish injecting the cavities with wax, I've had to buy another gun. So I bought this one, and it has got another 360-degree nozzle there, so I hope that's going to work this time. But it's also got this little hand nozzle, which that's going to allow me to get in little corners, and I think this will be quite useful because sometimes the spray from the spray gun gives you too much coverage, and sometimes you want a sort of more accurate pinpoint spray. So I'm going to try that. And the reason why I bought this is because I couldn't really find anything better in the UK. And this gun is absolutely identical to the Sealey wax injector gun, the SG18. But the Sealey one costs almost twice the price. It's anything from £75 to £120, whereas this was £43. As far as I could tell, the only difference was the Sealey version came with a little bag of replacement seals, whereas the Wiltec one doesn't. However, obviously this is half the price, so you could buy another one of these for the seals, but also get replacement ones and a replacement spare gun as well at the same time. So this is everything you get in the box with the Wiltec version. You get a parts diagram here, but there's no part numbers, so I'm not really sure how useful that will be. You obviously get your gun and your bottle, and then you have two wands here for injecting in cavities. This one has got a 360-degree nozzle. This one is that little hand flat nozzle, and then these have got quick release ends which will go in there, but can't quite do that one-handed. And this quick release nozzle is quite stiff, so you do need two hands to do that. So I'm assuming you can leave that on for normal spraying, but I was quite surprised to see, I'm not sure whether that's focusing there, but the hole in the end there is very small. But anyway, I'm sure it works just fine. I've seen other videos and these do work pretty well. So you don't get any instructions in the box, you just get this parts diagram. Not that you really need instructions with something so simple as this, but anyway, they are available on the Wiltec German website, which I'll link in the video description below. But one thing you will need to know is the operating air pressure, which is 4 to 6 bar, which is in those instructions and also on the Amazon listing. Because of some of the issues I was having with that previous air gun, I've bought a PCL air regulator here from Screwfix, and I can now accurately see what air pressure I'm running at, and I can drop this down now to 4 bar, because I found on both of my air compressors the regulators were knackered. Like all air tools nowadays, they come with this Euro style connector, which I don't use. I use the traditional UK PCL style, so I'm just going to replace that and then we can give this a go. This was very stiff in there, that's why the handle's in the vise, but I've come up with a huge hurdle already. This isn't a standard 1/4 inch thread, so my PCL adapter isn't going to fit in that handle. I've got to either possibly re-thread this or get some sort of Euro to PCL adapter, or make up one with a bit of hose. So that's a shame, because I was all geared up for spraying the vehicle this morning and now I can't even attach my airline hose to it. So the way I've got over this is I've put the original coupling back in, and this is called an XF coupling, which is what all modern air tools come with. And then I've made myself an adapter. So this is an XF to 1/4 inch female thread coupling, which I got from Screwfix. And then I've simply added a PCL coupling with a 1/4 inch male thread into that to make myself a little adapter. I should have done this a long time ago. So anytime I get any tools with an XF coupling on the end, I can then just adapt it to old-fashioned UK PCL. And I'll put all the product IDs in the video description below if that helps anyone. So I can now get on and do some spraying. But all I've got to do first is transfer this product into there without getting it down the sides. So this is Bilt Hamber Dynax-UB with a splash of white spirit in it. It's actually looking quite thick this morning, but with all these things it does help it if you warm it up. So you could stand this container in a pot of boiling water and it will thin the product inside and make it go on much better. So first off, let's just try the spraying without any attachments on. However, I don't really need to do any this morning because I've already finished treating the chassis on this vehicle, and all I need to do this morning is get some more product inside the cavities using those accessories, those tubes. However, what I'll do is I'll spray on to some cardboard so you can see what the spray pattern's like, and I think I'll spray the tow bar there. So I'll try this at 4 bar. So I think the pressure's a little bit low, so I'll just increase that. So that's now at 5.5 bar, which is about 80 psi by the looks of it. That's much better. That's making a good job. So I'll just put a little bit more under the tow bar and then we'll have a go at the cavities. So now let's try this hose with the 360-degree nozzle on the end and push this down in the cavities in the chassis rails, and then we'll see if we can get some product in there. So this is where it's going to get really messy, but anyway, that's a nice push fit connection there, and we'll just see what we get out of the end. So this isn't working quite as well as I was hoping, but it is still working. It might be user error though. I might have the product too thick. That might need thinning down a bit. I might need to change the air pressure, but it is getting the product in. And even if I don't push this hose all the way in the chassis rail, I can put it in a hole and move it around, and it will get the product in all directions. So I'll keep playing and slowly fill up all the cavities in this chassis. So I've just sprayed 3 full bottles of product just using this, and it works brilliantly. I was spraying at about 80 psi, I think that is. And this has worked just so well. Using this in all the holes in the chassis, spraying all directions, and then spraying the external sides of the chassis rails as well, and up under the wheel arches. And I've just been using this as a little miniature spray gun, and it's worked incredibly well. I've put a second coat on almost everything. So while initially I thought this wasn't going to work so well because it wasn't spraying in all directions, it wasn't acting as a 360-degree nozzle, it's actually just been acting as a very direct miniature spray gun, and actually it's worked so well. I'm really pleased, and overall I'm very pleased with the gun. It's working so much better than my previous one. But what I have found though is a head torch is just vital for this job when you're looking on a black chassis and you're looking for all the little nooks and crannies that you might have missed. So what I had intended to now do is use the little right angled tool. However, I don't need to. This does exactly the same job, and I've just been holding this end and I've been able to get that everywhere I needed to. So I'm not going to bother using this today because, to be honest, I don't want to make it dirty because I've now completely finished this vehicle. It's also worth showing you that this is just a little bent chrome tube, and this part is just a handle. It slides up and down, and it's got a grub screw there, so you tighten this down where you want it. So I suspect you'd want it at the bottom over the hose connection, and that's just a handle for that little wand. And I suspect you can get just as good results using this as I have just done using this and holding it. I have also just noticed this has come unscrewed, but it didn't affect the operation at all. I guess potentially the hose could have blown off, but it didn't, and I'm really pleased with this. So I can highly recommend this Wiltec undercoat spray gun. It's worked just brilliantly at spraying Bilt Hamber Dynax-UB cavity wax in all the cavities and also externally on the chassis. So all I've got to do now is clean all this up with white spirit, which is the worst part of the job, but I need to do that so the nozzles don't block and I can use it all again. And I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please do click the thumbs up, that really does help. Do subscribe to the channel, and I'll leave you with some shots of what the chassis looks like now on this Navara pickup.